What is up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to Beyond Borders. Today we are getting into another Polish video on why the language is so hard. So as you guys will know, we are planning a visit there, and we've actually confirmed our dates. We will be in Wrocław. I think that's how you pronounce it, Wrocław, in March, which is next month, which we're super excited about. We're there for 4 or 5 days. And we're going to make the most of it. And obviously, being English native speakers, we want to try and learn some Polish phrases to, try and help and ease the communication barrier. Obviously, I think with the bigger cities, there's a lot of English that is spoken, especially amongst the young individuals. But as Sunaya said, and as we have seen many times in the previous times that we have visited, knowing a couple of expressions and thank you, dziękuję, it goes a far way.
It shows a sign of respect,
which is what we want to do. And because we love Poland so much, and we are going to be traveling it a lot this year, we thought what better way than to try and see how the language works and see if we can try and pick up a few words, even though we're learning German and it's not so great.
It's a bit difficult.
But let's get into this video, and this video is apparently about why the language is a bit difficult, why it's a bit challenging to some, and how one can basically improve it. So let's see what they have to say. If you agree with any of the stuff, drop it down in the comments down below. If you have any suggestions, please let us know. And also, before we get into the video, if there are any of you guys that are in Wrocław that are maybe keen to meet up, or give us a bit of a guide, or let us know on a couple of things that we should know before heading out to the city, that would be amazing. So,
let's get into it.
Hey Slavic Vikings, and welcome to Why is Polish so hard? So I made this same video a while back, but I thought I would make it again, just a better version of it. So first of all, I'm going to talk about why explaining what language is the hardest in the world is very hard. So if you just Google the answer, pretty much every website will tell you different answers, which I thought was very interesting, so I researched it a bit more, and I found out it's because...
So I had heard that Polish is one of the most difficult languages, but I thought it was Mandarin.
It is, I think it is... I think if you look at the top 5, Mandarin and Polish will always be in the top 5 or top 3.
I know Mandarin is very difficult because they got over 5,000 letters in their alphabet that represent different words, but I didn't know that Polish was one of the most difficult.
Yeah, especially for English speakers. I've heard that so many times, so let's see.
The hardness of a language depends mostly on how similar it is to your native language. So for example, Mandarin is considered to be one of the hardest languages in the world, but if you're Japanese, it might be way easier for you to learn Chinese or Mandarin than it is for a German, for example. Although the reason why Mandarin is so hard is also because it has thousands of different characters that mean specific things. So if you live in the Czech Republic or in Ukraine, it is going to be...
So do you think that Afrikaans is a lot more easier for Dutch people and vice versa to learn because it's of the same tree?
Yeah, so firstly, you said earlier in the video we're both English native speakers. I'm not an English native speaker. My native language is Afrikaans.
She speaks to me in English.
Yes, because she can't speak Afrikaans very well. So Afrikaans is a lot like Dutch, and I also am able to pick up a lot of German. So I feel like German is a big mix between Dutch and English. So I understand what they say. Some languages, or when you speak certain languages, other languages might be a lot easier to learn. Others, for example, Polish, I feel like I've never seen the types of symbols before on letters, so I would not know how to pronounce it, how to even start by trying to figure it out. So I'm really interested in it, and I
I think the biggest thing is the combination of the different letters and the pronunciations that they make. Like someone was saying in the comments, when you combine S, Z, and C, it's like shit. You know?
Someone also said that speaking Polish sounds like someone's speaking a password for your Wi-Fi, a Wi-Fi password.
No, it's debatable. It could be. Maybe I should set my Wi-Fi password in
A Polish word.
It'll be a lot more difficult to guess.
Learn Polish than it is for a Mongolian or someone who speaks Swahili. Personally, I think the reason why the Polish language has the stereotype of being very hard is because it uses the same alphabet, or pretty much the same alphabet as.
See, that is what I was talking about, is the alphabet has different letters compared to the normal A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Like there's different variants of it. Look there, N, E, N. Look at A. It's got there's different variants of it.
As English, but then it connects many and many consonants, which English people are very uncomfortable with. And this phenomenon of many consonants being next to each other can be clearly depicted in many memes about the Polish language.
Look up.
Here are some examples. Before I get any deeper into Polish grammar, I would like to talk a bit about the history of the Polish language. So, what I find interesting is
This guy sounds very dead.
He sounds like he's very bored.
I mean, who makes a video on the Polish language?
This guy.
This guy, clearly.
not since pretty recently there hasn't been a big culture around the Polish language, since most of the educated part of Poland, which was pretty high compared to other countries, were speaking Latin instead. It's only because of famous
Did you know that?
No.
Did you know that Polish, like the higher intellectual individuals, were speaking Latin?
No.
Neither did I.
Interesting fact.
writers like Mikołaj Rej and Jan Kochanowski that the Polish language started being more respected, because the Polish language was only spoken by peasants and farm people, and then it slowly developed into a real language. What I find...
So does that mean that Polish is a peasant language?
It was, not is.
Yeah, but everyone speaks Polish now. So does that mean it's a peasant language if that's where it originated from? Like, why do people not speak Latin anymore in Poland?
That's a good question, but I don't think it's a peasant language. It's just, I don't know. Who decided that it's a peasant language?
Obviously the rulers of Poland about 500 years ago.
I think that's silly. And 5 years ago is a long time ago, so.
Is that Polish is a mixture of many languages. Like, for example, the word kalafior in Polish has an Italian origin, or the word for rope in German is Schnur, and then it's also that in Polish. And you have similar examples with shark, rekin in Polish, and teacher, belfer, is the same in Yiddish.
Wow.
I mean, look at that. They've got Italian influence, German influence, French influence, and Yiddish, which I got no clue what language Yiddish is. Do you know what Yiddish is?
No.
I don't know what Yiddish language is, but yeah, it looks like there's a lot of combinations.
Oh my goodness, look at Yiddish though, look at that.
It's probably like a Slavic language, I would assume.
I know.
Because Poland used to have the highest Jewish minority in the world, before you know what happened. So let's finally get into grammar. So, you probably know that Polish can have hundreds of different versions of every single word. So for example, the word play. The word play in Polish is...
Do you think that that is one word and the different variants of it?
Well, press play so we can find out.
gra. And then here on screen, you can see that there are hundreds of different ways that you can say the word. So in English,
Yes.
for example,
Your
you would
answer is
say,
yes.
I play football, or you play football, or he plays football, in Poland, instead of the he and you just change the version of the play, of the word play. And that's why it looks very confusing. And it doesn't get confusing for native Polish speakers because you just get used to it. The same.
It's like gender. Instead of like German where it's like der, die, das, depending on the gender, you change the noun or the subject, and that's the variant that it takes.
I miss Afrikaans. I miss speaking my native
I
language.
just like English. It's just so much more simpler.
Same way how native German speakers don't have to learn der, die, das.
Ah, okay, thank
It
you.
is kind of funny to see
We are struggling
It makes me nauseous.
on
looking
der,
at that.
die, das. It actually is nauseous. It's I don't know. I have like this nightmares when I see der, die, das. Just because there's just so many variants of it. Like in English, it's just the
It's
the cat.
same in Afrikaans. It's die.
Why is there so many ways of saying the? Just keep it one word. It's more simpler. We'll never understand.
If only.
all the different versions of one word because it looks really complicated, but it actually isn't. I would even say it makes it even simpler since you need to use even less words in a sentence. And you don't have to remember.
I guess so. I mean, if you can say, like, instead of he is playing, you can change the word playing and combine it with the he, and then they change the whole word, and then instead of saying he's playing, they just say like one or two words. Do you understand?
But can you imagine how many of those words exist for everything in everyday life?
I mean, I think, yes, I think it's obviously a more complex language, it looks like. But like this guy said as well, for the native Polish speakers, they've become so used to it, and it makes it easier for them to speak. You don't have to add all the he's and the it and all that. They just change one word and that changes the whole sentence. That's what I understand.
I don't know. Seems complicated.
Remember every single version of every word because pretty much every word has the same endings and beginnings depending on what you want to use it for. So for example, if it's a woman or man or multiple people, you just use a different ending. Now time for the second funny phenomenon in Polish, and that is no and no. So in Polish, no means yes in a casual form. So for example, if your friend asked you, have you been in this shop this evening? You would answer no. This isn't really a problem in colloquial terms because the distinction between no and no is pretty clear. This problem is especially clear in my family because we partially speak English. So the problem with this no and no is in text, because in text you can sometimes either reply no in English or no in Polish. It isn't a very big problem, but it can get confusing at times.
What?
Yeah, I'm just confused.
What
by
is he
that.
even saying? Is no yes and no what?
There's variants of no.
But did he not say that some no means yes?
I don't know. Look, the only word I know in Polish besides dziękuję is kurwa, which apparently is not a good word to use. And I'm sorry for the Polish individuals that watched our video like 10 videos ago because we watched the word kurwa. And it was apparently used in everyday life. And then we only found out in the comments that it's actually not a great word.
And you should not use it, it's disrespectful.
And
So
it's disrespectful.
I am sorry for our viewers currently watching. If
I
there are any
I won't
children.
use it again in Poland.
At times. So now to the last grammar part of this video, and that is going to be the Polish alphabet. There are 32 letters in a Polish alphabet, and that is because they invented some more, but they also removed some, like for example the letter V. So most letters in Polish, in the Polish alphabet, are the same as in English, or at least similar, but then they've changed some. Like for example, W makes a V sound, and then the letter W, the one you can see right here, replaces the W in English. Then
So one thing that I would like to know is when the person or whoever is inventing the language, like firstly, how it comes about. Like, is there one person that decides, okay, guys, we're scrapping V, not doing it anymore in the
It's not useful.
It's not useful, we don't see a need for it. Like, is there one person that did this, or do you think it evolved over time and then eventually they just stopped using V?
And also, how is that a letter?
2 letters.
But also, he says that V is V, right?
W.
Yeah, sorry, W is pronounced V, which is same as Afrikaans. It's also V, via.
But then what you pronounce W there?
What do you mean?
Where's the letter for W? If you want to say wa.
What are you asking?
If you've got a word
Yes.
that starts with a W
Yes.
and you want to say like weekend,
Yeah.
but in Poland, like Polish, I would
V.
weekend.
But
it's not the word. But what I'm trying to say is, if they use W for V, what replaces W? That's what I'm trying to say.
You know that meme where that person is thinking and there's these sums and equations floating around? That's how I currently feel.
That's true.
That's how I feel in the video.
Then there are some letters that have additions, like for example S, C, Z, A, E, and Z again, and O. So in Polish you can either add...
I mean, look at all those variants. Look how many Zs you get. 4 Zs.
I feel sorry for the children in school.
I wonder how hard it is to learn the language when you are at school. Is it as difficult as learning it when you're older?
No, man. I don't think it's difficult for the kids.
It's either or, but it's usually a stripe. You can add a stripe on top of a letter or a tail at the bottom of a letter to change the way you say it. So for example, if you added a line above S, it would sound like this. Sh. And with C, ch. And with Z, j. If you added a dot above the Z, it would be j. And if you added a line above the O, it would be an U. And if you added a tail under A, it would be an ong. And if you'd add a tail under E, it would be eong.
So what I wish this guy did was actually, when he spoke about a letter, show the right letter on the screen.
It's all about pronunciation. It's not necessarily the language, it's pronunciation.
But that is the difficult part.
If you one part off in your pronunciation of the word, it's probably a completely different word.
That's what I'm scared of. I'm scared that I'm trying to say something nice to someone and then all of a sudden I'm threatening someone
They will get the picture.
or saying something horrible. Okay, so I think like what I would say is I would learn phrases and learn to pronounce phrases, but I don't think I'm going to ever be able to write.
Phrases are probably the easiest way, the basics, but learning the language, unless we move there, I don't think it's something that I am going to attempt.
Yeah.
Unless someone wants to be our teacher, 5 times a week, an hour, but I've already got German, so
5 times a week, an hour, you're alone.
maybe next year.
Maybe next year, take on a new language.
So I can imagine this being very confusing to learners of Polish, especially if you come from the English alphabet with only 26 letters. It can be quite overwhelming. But that's not it, because I would say that technically Polish has even more letters because you can connect letters to make them sound very weird. Like for example, if you add a Z to some letters, it totally changes the way it sounds. So if you add a Z to S, it is a sh. If you add a Z to a C, it's a ch. If you add a Z to a R, it's ż.
Can you imagine writing an essay in Polish in school? Like, I'd be confused with all the different variants. Now I understand why it's harder. It's probably more difficult than Mandarin. It's all about perspective. And my perspective is it's pretty difficult.
I don't think it's more difficult than Mandarin.
If you ever looked at Mandarin, I don't know, but it looks pretty challenging.
And if you add it to a D, it's Z. And then you can connect.
Maybe that's why all the Polish people are so super clever and tech people, because learning the language alone, I feel, is like science. So they've been doing science since they were, grade 1.
It's an interesting hypothesis. So
That's my hypothesis.
maybe if you speak Polish and you're fluent,
You have
you're a genius.
high IQ, you're a genius, because you can decipher these letters and sounds and all of that. It's actually so sad.
That English is so easy.
And same okay, well, actually not Afrikaans. It's not an easy language, but English is so basic. It's like there's nothing to actually even think about. You just speak it, and it's so easy to have your grammar right and all that. But this, to me, it seems like science. I look at it and I'm like, it should be on the periodic table. It looks like an element on the periodic table. So yes,
That's iron.
that's I
Think.
Yeah, zinc.
The connection with Z and also the different variations of Z. So it gets even more complicated, but I won't get into that. So Polish has so many different ways to pronounce letters that it becomes very interesting when you hear a language. Now I'm going to give an example of a conversation in Polish so you can hear how it sounds. Jeśli rozumiesz to, co mówię teraz, to masz szczęście, bo jesteś Polakiem i powinien.
He lost me by the first word.
There's a language that sounds a lot similar.
Czech Republic. Czech.
Yes,
When we were in Czech Republic, it sounded very similar.
it does sound similar.
Powinieneś być dumny, że jesteś Polakiem, bo Polska to jest bardzo fajny kraj. Bezwzględnie na to, co myślisz, Polska zdobyła dużo fajnych rzeczy.
Nie.
Pszczoła i chrząszcz to są owady leśne lub czasem też bywają być na łące. I to jest bardzo ciekawe. Jeśli wbijesz ołówek w pszczołę, to trzcina z jej wyleci, bezwzględnie na to, co myślisz. I może krew będzie wyglądała jak taka żółć. Bardzo dziwne rzeczy tutaj do ciebie mówię, ale na szczęście oni nas nie rozumieją.
What is
Bo
this
tylko
guy
Polacy
saying? It's like
rozumieją
a
Polaków.
flippin'
Do
essay going
zobaczenia.
on here.
So that was a little snippet of the Polish language, and you can notice the giant contrast of different sounds, which I would say is the opposite of Danish, which I'm also gonna make a video soon of. I would
He probably asked, how are you?
No, he had a conversation, like a full-on conversation. He said something wrong.
say that Danish and Polish are extremely different, because the thing about Danish is, unless you pronounce a Danish word perfectly, a Dane won't understand you. But in Polish, you can totally demolish a pronunciation of a word and a Pole will still understand you because of the giant contrast of words.
That's
and
nice.
also, many Polish words are pronounced the same way you read them.
It's similar to like German, where your ending needs to be precise. Otherwise, it changes the complete context of the word and the sentence structure. Like, that's probably super important.
Yeah.
And by the sounds of it, Polish is a bit more
I think
lenient.
they're more lenient. I feel like if a Pole hears you're not a native Polish speaker and you're trying, they will be more graceful with you. They'll try and
No, but also not just that, it's easier to understand because there's only a few variants.
That, I think, is a big plus in the Polish language, and is also why I like it. This video was really fun to make.
Well, I do think that there should probably be a lot better Polish language videos. This one lacked a little bit of editing.
Not the greatest. I actually saw this in like a comment in, I think it was one of the first language ones that we did. Someone just said, look at this because look at how difficult it was. They used this video to express difficulty.
I would love to watch or see another video where we get a bit more in-depth on the language. I understand why it is so difficult. There's a lot of variations to letters and ways that you can combine words and letters, and so I understand it, but my hypothesis stands. Polish people are clever because they have been learning science.
Yeah, let us know what you think about that hypothesis. Maybe it's true. Maybe people agree with you. You should test it. But if you've got any other cool videos that you can recommend, please let us know. Maybe something with just like phrases, basic Polish phrases.
Yes, so we can learn before our trip.
And then we'll start a new channel, Learn Polish with Sine and James.
I don't think anyone's going to watch that.
You never know. But if you've got any recommendations, hit us up. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe to our channel so that you stay up to date with all of our latest videos. Until next time, this is Beyond Borders.
Over and out.